Hello everyone, it's Darkseeker here again. Welcome back for another video. Now in today's video we're playing the Scorpion Control Warrior deck. This is my fourth video with Control Warrior in Wild Mode, and it'll be my final video for the time being. But yes, I've been looking at different iterations of Control Warrior in Wild Mode recently, just trying to see what's most effective. This deck is unique because it plays Cairn Bloodhoof, which is a card you have seen recently in Standard Mode tournaments, but Cairn doesn't really appear much at all in Wild Mode. So we'll be looking at Cairn today to see how viable he is. Now, you've got the Scorpion deck on the left-hand side, and then the three other decks that I've played recently are also visible to you. We've got the Reno Jackson Control Warrior deck, which is very similar to the Scorpion deck, except the Scorpion deck doesn't play Dead Man's Hand. Other than that, they're both Death Rattle heavy decks, and they rely on Enzoth the Corruptor. The Scorpion deck also plays Grommash Hellscream. The Reno Jackson Control Warrior deck does not. On the right hand side we have Control's Juggernaut deck with Brown Bronzebeard and the Iron Juggernaut. It's a bit of a meme deck in some ways because the way you win is to play Dead Man's Hand, get multiple copies of Iron Juggernaut, and use Brown Bronzebeard and go absolutely mental with shuffling mines into their deck and then just watch them die over the following turns. You've then got Reno Jackson's Wild Cthulhu deck on the far right hand side. The focus there of course is to use Dead Man's Hand and shuffle multiple copies of Cthulhu into the deck and just get insane value with Bran and Twin Emperor Veclaw, or Bran and Ancient Shieldbearer, and so on. So, in the middle of your screen you can see some of the cards that I've discussed in my previous video. We went through them and we talked about their usefulness. We discussed Grommash Hellscream, and we talked about how Grom doesn't really appear much at all in Standard or Wild. Therefore he's a worthy inclusion because he can be a big surprise. No one expects to see him. So therefore, does anyone play around him? With the Deathspite weapon effect, with Revenge, with Slam, you can activate the Enrage effect on Grom, and sometimes it can give you lethal. Alternatively, 4 attack, 9 health is good for trading. Scorpion's deck on the far left, which is the deck we're featuring today, does not feature Dead Man's Hand, and that's very, very interesting because the other three decks all feature Dead Man's Hand, which gives you staying power in the late game. It lets you last through fatigue. The Scorpion deck seems to believe you do not need Dead Man's Hand, and you can get enough value from Cairn Bloodhoof, from Enzoth the Corruptor, from Justicar's Tank Up effect to help you last into the late game. Other than that, these decks do feature, various similarities. 3 of them play Enzoth the Corruptor, so there's a big Death Rattle theme. Interestingly, only one of the decks plays Sylvanas, the Control Juggernaut deck, which is quite interesting. So the other 3 decks are saying, oh, we don't need Sylvanas in order to win, which is interesting because Sylvanas is one of your best high-value Death Rattles. Maybe with the Scorpion deck, it's a question of Cairn versus Sylvanas. Which one do you include for 6 cost? Anyway, the other thing I just want to discuss before we go into our games is Deathspite. The Scorpion deck plays 1 copy of Deathspite and 1 Blood Razor. Deathspite's really good because it can help you kill off high health minions at 5 health. 4 attack from the weapon plus the AOE can kill something off at 5 health. That's worth noting. So let's have a look at a quick highlight here. Going up against a rogue, playing Jade cards really. And one of the questions you've got to ask yourself is Control Warrior too slow? In this particular case, Deathspite is what gave me the win. Deathspite plus Cairn and Enzoth on the board got me the win, despite my rogue opponent having an overwhelming Jade board. Deathspite won me the game. Feels good. Okay, so we're going to have a look at a full game here against Priest. Now, having Justicar True Heart in your opening hand is a big deal, and it's really, really good, because if you can get the tank up hero power going very early, you simply outlast the Priest. Their hero power really becomes ineffective because they just can't do enough damage to you after playing Raza and Anduin, so you simply outlast them.
Let the pain speak to me.
Now we have a decision to make here. I think shield slamming that Acolyte is a good play. Simply because it only gives him one card, or guarantees that he only gets one card. Quite how the Priest would, you know, damage his own Acolyte, I'm not entirely sure. You know, they don't tend to run cards like Revenge or Slam. Although with Thought Steal, you know, there's every chance that he'd have stolen a Revenge from my deck, for instance, and could draw more cards. So I think just killing the Acolyte cleanly there was ideal. He also could have buffed the Acolyte with Powered Shield. Hey, with Valen's Chosen, this is wild mode. You don't know what they're playing. And of course, the Priest's aim here is to cycle through his deck as quickly as possible, to draw as many cards as quickly as possible, to find Raza, to find Anduin. Wow, Shadow Madness. He really is desperate to draw a card here. Really desperate. So he stole my Mountain Fire armor. He didn't get the armor gain from it. And that's my problem with that card. Too often you're forced to trade it in something just to stop damage going to your face. And therefore you don't get the armor gain from it. So yeah, I'm not sold on it. Maybe I need more willpower. Maybe I need to resist the urge to trade it into things and just let it hit face, or just leave it be on the board and force my opponent to deal with it. I don't know. But the issue here is it's turn 6 and we did not play Justicar. So now we think, well, when will we play Justicar? Maybe on turn 7. Or maybe turn 8. With turn 8 you can play Justicar and also tank up at the same time. That seems sensible. And he's so desperate for card draw, he plays Thalnos. That's interesting. Again, trying to cycle through his deck as quickly as possible. Powered Shield is enabling that. He's really taking his time here with the roping, clearly putting a lot of thought into his decisions. I respect that. Although, when you're a casual player with not very much time to play, you would prefer it if the games went by a little bit quicker. Hence my emoting earlier. I was getting slightly fed up of waiting. But I can understand why he'd want to put some thought into his plays. Now that's interesting. Is he going to heal my taunt? Yes, he is. Wow, again, really desperate for card draw. And just keeping a constant eye on how many cards are left in his deck, we've got to assume that he's drawn either Raza or the Death Knight. Wow, Shadow Visions. So we can also assume he's getting a second copy of something like Dragonfire Potion or Light Bomb. Wow, So he played the Holy Smite there to stop himself from overdrawing. Interesting. Well, we welcome our opponent now to the Grand Tournament, and Tank Up is now active. So he has to kill me quickly, otherwise my health total, including armor, is just going to go out of range and there'll be nothing he can do. And you know, as the game goes on and you keep tanking up, and then that feeling sets in with your opponent when they start to realise, oh god, the warrior is going out of range, I'm not going to be able to kill him. When you can sense and see that feeling setting into your opponent, it's a glorious thing, it really is. That's an interesting play. Dragonfire Potion. On one minion. I guess he didn't want to take six to the face. And we don't care, sure. You know, use your Dragonfire Potion. We just tank up. Maybe that feeling is setting in now with him. Maybe he's looking at that armor and thinking, oh god, what am I going to do here? He's got all those cards in hand. Wow, Mind Blast. I'm shocked. I'm shocked and quite frankly appalled that he'd use Mind Blast in that way, just to get a card out of his hand. There must have been something else that he could have played instead of Mind Blast. Because of course, with Mind Blast being in his deck, you have to assume that Prophet Velen is also in his deck. And again, I'm just surprised that he didn't want to get a combo off. Maybe he doesn't play Velen. Velen is a legendary, not everyone can afford him. Maybe he doesn't play him.
I must consider.
Maybe he did the Mind Blast just to shred armor. Wow. Spirit Lash just to get something out of his hand again. Wow. Well, you've got to assume then that he's got some awesome combos in his hand and he's waiting for the right moment. I'll get rid of the coin here. The coin's not important. So again, this stops us from overdrawing. I mean, from the priest's perspective, the coin is important. If the priest has the coin, it goes very well with the Death Knight hero power. But for me, nah, it's not important. There's nothing critical in my hand that I can combo it with. Silence on that. That feels... okay, he wants to get a card out of his hand again, but... oh well. We'll get rid of Revenge, I guess. And just tank up. I mean, what's Revenge going to do in this game? What's the likelihood he goes wide on the board with lots of cheap small minions? I have another copy of Revenge. I have Brawl. 2 copies of Brawl. Okay, there's Anduin. There's the Death Knight. His hero power that deals damage is now active. It costs 2 though, so Raza has yet to be played. But look, just tank up. Tank up. We're at 53 health, including armor now. Does he even have enough cards in his deck to get through this existing health total, including armor? I don't think he does. But Raza is live now, and we do have to watch ourselves, actually. It's not over yet. And I shouldn't get too cocky or too arrogant here. Oh, Coal Light Oracle for the card draw. Interesting. So what's the play here? What are we thinking? What do we need to prioritize on to kill? I guess we could play the weapon. There are lots of ways of dealing with this board. And I don't think I'm choosing the most efficient method. But to be honest, I don't really care. all I care about is tanking up. And I'm using the slam there to kill the minion because I don't want to draw any more cards, right? I don't have Dead Man's Hand in this deck, so I can't go infinite with it. I say infinite, it's not infinite, but I can't drag the game out longer. So I don't want to draw any more cards, so I think using slam there was reasonable. It felt like a bit of a waste. I could have used my face, but I just wanted to get rid of the slam. There's Prophet Velen. Well, it's going to die. There's no question about that. We have Execute. Still thinking about that slam play. I'm not sure. But the thing is, I don't think it even matters. We've just killed Velen. He's used one Mind Blast. He can't win, right? Oh, here's Lyra. He's playing both Velen and Lyra in his deck. Talk about greed. He has a spell there, pointing it at my face, and he's hesitating. Oh, pint-sized potion, okay. Oh, look, there's Ken. Well, we have to kill Lyra, right? And we probably have to kill that elemental. So we play Ken. We didn't get a chance to tank up on that turn, which is unfortunate. Tanking up is very important. But putting Ken down, I think, is reasonable. Oh wow, Lyra gave him mind control. Of course it did. Of course it did. He's just stolen my Ken. That's so annoying. I was considering Dirty Rat for a second there, but I thought no, why take the risk? Why bother? He still has to get through the Death Lord. Okay, Shadow Word Horror is a very clean way of getting through the Death Lord. So, 2 minions on board. 3 minions on board. Wow, he's not respecting Brawl. I have 2 copies in my hand. What's he doing? Binding Heal? Are you sure about that? She's done 3 damage to yourself, 5 damage to the minion, 5 damage to your face. What? 3 damage to your face again? Wait, okay, I don't get that. Okay, is he that desperate to be able to shoot that hero power to my face? Is that why he took the damage? It doesn't make sense. Well, there's Gromash. It would have been so funny if he had put himself down in range of dying to Grom on that previous turn. It really would have been hilarious. Oh well. Okay, there are no minions in his hand. That's fascinating. I guess we just brawl. He stole my Ken, so 4/5 body will pop from the death rattle. Oh, Ken survives. Interesting. That's actually okay.
Almost out of cards.
That's actually okay. He's done well to shred my armor, but I don't think it's going to be enough for him to kill me. So here I'm just playing the 3/3 for a body, just something to distract him for a while. I just need to drag the game out a little bit longer. draw into Enzoth, and we win the game. Can you imagine though if we slid Ken on our side? Can you imagine? It would be so good.
I hope you like my
Oh, novice engineer. Send yourself into fatigue. I mean, he has no choice. He's so desperate to get his hero powers into my face. Yeah, he's sending himself into fatigue. He doesn't care. Just doing anything and everything he can to do damage to me, but at the same time doing damage to himself. Well, there it is. Grommash, lethal with fatigue for 2, for precise lethal. Yep, they never see Grom coming. Well, that was a fun game with the Scorpion control deck. Ending the game with Grommash there just felt so good. Tank Harp was our big saviour. The fact that we were able to play Justicar on turn 8 was massive. Yeah, it's a good deck, the Scorpion deck. My only issue with it is there's no Dead Man's Hand. We were both heading to fatigue, the Priest and my deck too. And I mean, yeah, okay, I still had Enzoth the Corruptor to come, but you know, if the game had gone on much longer, I would have liked to have had Dead Man's Hand available to maybe shuffle another Enzoth back into my deck, just to give me that much more value to last into fatigue. So yeah, good deck, but I'd like Dead Man's Hand. The question is, what card would I take out to put in Dead Man's Hand? Maybe one copy of Slam could be removed in favour of Dead Man's Hand. But generally speaking, my opinion hasn't changed. My favourite deck out of all 4 of these decks that I've now played over the last few weeks is the Cthulhu deck. Just because Cthulhu was my favourite old god. For no other reason. Also, the Cthulhu deck has Justicar, obviously, which is good. But it has that additional armor gain in terms of the Bran, Bronzebeard, Ancient Shield Bearer combo. That armor gain is absolutely nuts, absolutely insane. And the number of times that Shield Bearer has saved me against Pirate Warrior, for example, just because I've had some Cthulhu activators played, the Shield Bearer's Battle Cry is active, and it's turn 7, I'm about to die to Pirate Warrior, and then I play my Shield Bearer and I gain all of that armor, and they concede because they know that their ability to kill me now is lessened massively. So I guess just having Shield Bearers is such a good thing, such an amazing thing, particularly comboed with Bran. So for that reason, the Cthulhu deck remains my favourite. But in terms of general value, I'm going to go with the Enzoth, one of the Enzoth decks, probably the Reno Jackson control deck, just because Bring It On, which costs 2, it's the only deck that plays Bring It On. Bring It On fascinates me as a card, and if you guys had watched my previous video, you'd have noticed that Bring It On discounted my opponent's hand to the point where they could play various Murlocs and a 6-cost Tyrion. But the armor gain from Bring It On did keep me alive. So that's an interesting card that I'd like to experiment with more. You don't see it played very much at all. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me, everyone. If you guys have the cards, maybe you want to give one of these 4 decks a try and see what you think. Control Warrior isn't in a great place generally on the Wild Mode ladder. No one's playing it at the moment, but it is a phenomenal counter to Priest if you get Justicar played early enough. My issue with it, however, is that with Fiery War Axe gone, you can just die to aggro decks. The War Axe was so good at just countering threats on turns 1 and 2 and just stopping aggro decks in their tracks. With the War Axe now being nerfed, you know, aggro can get a step up on you, and you know, that can just mean that the control warrior deck is just too slow. So yeah, I've lost games against aggro where I couldn't find my brawls in time, I couldn't find my belchers, and just couldn't remove enough of their minions early enough, and didn't draw into revenge, so there was nothing I could do. So yeah, maybe it's a tad too slow against aggro. But yeah, if you guys have the cards, give the decks a try, and then maybe just tell me what you think. Alternatively, if you're interested in one of these 4 decks, tell me what cards you'd change, what cards you'd take out, what cards you'd include. I'd be very interested to know. So, I'll see you guys all again very soon for more Hearthstone action. We are at, I think, 813 or 814 subscribers, something like that. So, edging closer to 1,000. So, if we can keep that going, that'll be great. And when we do hit 1,000, I'll do another subscriber giveaway. So once again, thank you for all of your support, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you all again very soon for more fun on the Wild Mode ladder.